Today's show is brought to you in part by Rapid River Knife Works, home of Michigan's largest custom knife factory showroom. 9 million acres of forest, 1,700 miles of continuous shoreline, 4,300 lakes, 12,000 miles of streams, more than 300 waterfalls, 15 counties, 2 time zones, and 1 area code. Welcome to the Upper Peninsula. Welcome to 906 Outdoors. "906 Outdoors" is brought to you by Cooking Wild Seasonings. Make it fresh, make it yours. It was a brisk October morning, typical for the UP at this time of year. With a lot of setup to do, we set out early, a couple of hours before shooting time. The sky was clear, so we were looking forward to a great sunrise and hopefully a good morning of duck hunting.
So what we're doing right now, got a little ways to go up here, get the boat all set up. We got a few trees to move out of the way right now. Not a whole lot of cover there. We got to use what broken down trees we can. Kind of sucks because it's a grass blind, but we got to do what we got to do. Northeast wind right now. We're actually looking for more of a southwest, but here in a couple hours actually is moving to a southwest. So set up the decoys and everything for a southwest wind. Hopefully everything should go good. It's been going good the last few times we hunted here, so we'll see what happens.
No, the water's down there.
So what we're gonna do here, we got a couple trees to move out of the way just because we kind of stand here sometimes. Get these trees out of the way, get this boat nice and tucked in as best we can. And my brother, a couple other buddies are gonna get the braces set up so the boat doesn't tip on us and we can actually see out of it. Then I'm gonna go work on getting the decoy set up. We're gonna set up for a southwest wind, so we're kind of gonna have our landing zone coming in off the point right there. Normally we don't have too many birds come off. What's gonna be our left side today hunting. I usually don't go too fancy with like shapes of spreads and one. I just kind of throw them out because I don't know. I never really see too many ducks just sitting ewes and whatnot. So I usually just make a nice little landing zone for them, kind of make it look a little bit more natural. Hopefully I think that'll work good today.
You got some in my blind bag too.
Hey, stop.
Oh wow, that case is moist. I'm gonna call him Teal.
Yeah, I'm against one back there, aren't I?
Nice. Ducks aren't really noticing the decoys, so I'm gonna throw out another motion or a flap or just see if that'll help. Put it a little higher in the air, maybe they'll see it. Oh, actually, right now, get him! All right, and they just missed every shot, so that's kind of funny too. But
It's never funny. You walk back to the truck.
906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by Christ, your Northwoods neighborhood store.
This is an expensive sport. You don't have to go out and buy the newest, greatest, and whatnot. Your old pump at home, or your old dad's semi, or your grandpa's shotgun, it'd probably work the best. You just, as long as, just make sure you shoot non-toxic ammo, or you don't have to go out and buy the greatest decoys and whatnot. Like when we first started, I went out and bought a dozen decoys for $30. I got a deal on them. And we worked with that for well over a year, but now we're just starting to finally upgrade all our stuff to really nice stuff.
Only got one. We got that one.
Clothes too. I would consider your clothes is probably one of the biggest thing. Like I just started out with like a normal rain jacket and whatnot, but then I upgraded a good value jacket. But to me, it's keeps me warm. And there's days I have 140-mile-an-hour winds and what. You don't always need a boat. Honestly, majority of the time, I hunt out of a kayak. I just spray paint it. We also got a little sled, we just bring out like a little snowmobile sled right now. You can bring out, it floats in the water, works great. Bring out a dozen decoys and just box of ammo. That's all you really need. You just go tuck up in some reeds somewhere and a few $100 to get started. You could get it. As long as you have a shotgun and whatnot, you could do it.
Try to find some buddies that, have been doing it, or you have a grandpa that's been doing it, or that way you have someone to go with that is already established in the sport and they know what they're doing and they can give you some pointers and stuff like that. It helped us. We had a buddy that when we started, he had been hunting for a couple of years, and he really helped us our first year, got us going on what we needed to do and, the right way to do it. And it's not just about going out and killing limits of birds, but it's a conservation thing too.
Why did you get up so fast?
I don't know.
Birds everywhere.
My bad, boys. I got excited.
Hold on.
Don't get discouraged either. You're gonna miss a lot. You're not gonna get the prettiest birds. Some days you're not gonna get any birds.
Oh yeah, buddy. Are those redheads?
Yep. If you can find someone, just kind of bug them about it, like get in their ear. Like there's more and more people doing this every year. It's starting to become I feel like a younger man's game nowadays. Like you go on all the social medias and whatnot, there's always an outdoor page. It seems like they're starting up duck hunting or whatnot. So if you can find someone, just bug them about it. That's all I have to say, because this is probably one of the most fun sports to do out here. Just everything about it. Like we can sit here and just talk just like this and it won't be a big deal. You see ducks, start calling them at them, and the camaraderie is just fantastic about it. There's always a little bit of action going on and whatnot. I love deer hunting, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it just gets really boring sitting in a stand for how many hours on end, sometimes not seeing things, maybe just a couple does or the occasional buck, But, if you want to try it, find someone to do it. I highly recommend it. This is one of the best things we've ever started doing in my eyes.
If you get your DNR waterfowl book, there's a duck identification chart in the back of it. That really helps. Just make sure you're reading it, because with certain species you can only shoot so many ducks per day. Mallards, but you can only shoot 2 hens a day, so make sure you know how to identify hen mallards and drake mallards and wood ducks, and that identification chart's right in the back of the DNR sports book, so that's a handy tool to have with you. We keep them in our blind bags. And
Ducks Unlimited also has an app you can get on the phone that they have a bunch of different stuff for articles and whatnot, how better ways to identify, and they got a big list of old divers, your puddle ducks, your geese, and you have your others like your swans and whatnot, which you can't shoot anyways, but it's still nice to know. But it also has the sounds of them on there, because that's another really big thing. A lot of people don't realize, your mallards quack, but there's a lot of ducks out there that whistle, and a lot of people don't realize that. Like wood ducks, they whistle. Pintails and all that, they whistle. Mallards are probably one of the only few that actually quack. Gadwalls do, black ducks, and just different variation of mallard, basically. That identification is key, big time. When they're flying, it's hard. It really is. Today, no, it's a little different because it's bright and sunny. You can see what's coming in and whatnot. You can kind of pick what you're looking at, especially when it's early in the morning. It's kind of cloudy sometimes. Shooting light's not always light out, So you kind of got to be careful what you shoot at in the morning sometimes. Just the size and actually how they flap their wings and whatnot, because wood ducks are just a lot smaller than a mallard, of course. Anybody could see that, but just even the way they flap their wings, the pace on how they do it and whatnot, how they work with the decoys.
I helped you with your. Oh, mine's getting away.
Talk about some of the birds we're getting today. Like we're having mallards coming in earlier. We only got one, and the other one we've had multiple other groups kind of working, but they really just didn't want to finish. And by the time we got stuff adjusted, hoping they would like it more, they kind of just not around here anymore. They're probably in the fields and whatnot. But now we're having some more divers come in right now. We had a big group of buffleheads come over earlier, but they just kind of came by buzzing, not a chance to even get a gun up. But now we're just having some more redheads come in right now. It's getting that point of year. It seems like at least around here we're having a lot more divers moving. I've seen a lot yesterday when I was out hunting. We just shot 2 redheads and heading a drake, but we had how many other ones flying around. It was getting to be that time of year. Like to shoot more mallards, but we'll take what we can get out here on the public land. One of my dad's friends always told me never start duck hunting because you'll never do anything else in the fall time. Well, he wasn't kidding, because I don't really bow hunt much in the fall time until December now. So, and it's great. I love it. It's probably one of the best things I ever decided to do. I started senior year. I only went out hunting one time, but I didn't shoot anything that day. I was hooked ever since, and it's just the camaraderie. It's especially hunting out here in public land. It's a challenge. It really is. Wake up a lot earlier than we really should half the time. Opening day, I'm usually up at 1:30, 2 o'clock. And there's a lot of times I wake up super early and I might shoot one mallard, but you know what? It's worth it. Don't get me wrong. We don't have fields to hunt really, and we haven't really tried. We tried to get some, but we don't try all that hard. I don't know, just something about hunting the water. I love it. Wouldn't change it for anything. What is that?
There's certainly no shortage of do-it-yourselfers in the UP, or hunters. Put the two together, add in a few household tools, a small amount of effort, and you've got a done-it-yourself European mount.
In 2009, I got my first compound archery book, and it wasn't very big, so I didn't want to make a mount, have it mounted. So I thought, what the heck? I had to memorialize it some way, and I thought, well, European mounts were starting to get popular, so I thought I'm going to try that. I had never done it, didn't look anything up. I just thought, well, I should be able to do that. So I took the head and skun the head out. That was the first thing you had to do. I figured you at least have to do that. After I skun it out, I got a big pot and filled it with water and basically just stuck the skun out head in that pot and started boiling it. Little did I know that you really should try to take off as much meat ahead of time as possible. But I started boiling, and after it was all said and done, it turned out really nice. And I was like, wow, I'm surprised, so I can do that. I was pretty confident. Hey, that's great. I was able to do it. And so then the next year I got a buck, and I'm like, oh, I have to do that again. And this one turned out, some of the bones fell out, the teeth got loose on some of them. I actually overboiled it. So that's kind of how I got into it. And I wasn't grossed out by it. It was just so interesting, all the intricate structures of the skull and the nasal cavity, and how much connective tissue is in there, and how interesting, you're just like, wow. And from one buck to another, how the heads look different. They're not all the same. One can have a petite little head and another can have a big Roman nose. So it's just been kind of interesting, seeing the different bucks and how different they can look. Just put the whole head in a pot of water, 4 hours, I would say. The water, you want to come up right to even here, because you're trying to keep that cap there. You want to get that underwater too. And sometimes you don't necessarily, and it'll kind of steam off the flesh there. It'll steam. Try not to get your horns under the water at all. So like right here is almost perfect. And you have a nice steady boil. There's no secret or there's no key that I found was any better. And I think each time I do it, it's not the exact same. So don't worry about that. Just know that when you're boiling it, have a nice steady boil, keep the horns out of the water, but keep as much water as you can to try to cover the whole head. And you can see right now, if you pull it out, how the flesh is coming off and how the tissue looks, it's breaking down. And that's from that sodium carbonate, helping to break it down. Now I would take one of my little tools and just pull some of that off and let that, keep pulling it off and working on it. After it's boiled and you've gotten off most of the meat, you still need to pick out all the little connective tissue and still work on some of the nasal tissue because you might not get all of that out. And some people take out the eyes too. I haven't, but I think if I take out the eyes, it'll just help it go a lot faster. This hasn't been boiling long enough really, because if it's boiled enough, if I pull on this cartilage here, it would all just slip right out. But it's coming along because you've got all of that the roof of the mouth there, that will just slough off. Once it gets boiled enough, this gets really, it just breaks down, it kind of mushes up and you can get it right off. But this has to go a while yet. Let the boil do most of the work because it will really boil that meat right off. And I think like where you can't really get at very well, like in the, where you have all the nerves and stuff from the teeth, by boiling it well, it breaks it down inside because you can't pick that out.
906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by Blades Bait and Tackle, your year-round connection to fishing Bay De Noc.
Most of this stuff you could probably find in your kitchen. You probably have maybe an old bread pan or a wash pan. I use this when I'm doing some of the final cleanup of it. You have most of the meat and the tissue is sloughed off. You still have to pick away little cartilage and things like that, so you need to pick it up. So you need some type of a tray to help hold things as you're picking things away. If your water ended up really greasy, you can take your Dawn dish soap or Palmolive, anything, make some sudsy water and just kind of suds it up in the water. Get some of the grease off. Take a toothbrush, scrub away some of the skin and the extra tissue. I have another thing that really has worked great. It's an old metal crocheting needle. It has a little tiny hook at the end of that. And this has been great for getting into small crevices. It has like I said, it has a little hook on the end of it. So you can get in there and you can pull out the different tissue and the connective tissue. And I don't know what other kind of specialized tools you have, but that sure works good. And then I have, I think this is an automotive ring puller, but it's again another long utensil that you can kind of get down into the brain cavity to work away the different membranes and clean it up and get stuff out of there. And then I have these that really works to get deep down in and pinch and gather on the membrane and pull out the different membrane. And the brain, when you're trying to work the brain out, after you've boiled it for a while, you'll have to tip it upside down and dump out brain, get in there and then pull the membrane out and then dump it out. I've seen or heard people do power washing. I've never done that, but I think that would probably, if you want to put a whole bodysuit on and power wash your skull, that would probably be a quicker way. But this way, it's stuff you might have in your house. And you can just pick away at it, clean up the skull, clean up all the connective tissue. The nasal cavity here is really difficult to get a lot of stuff out of. Just these tweezers. And I can get in and pull the different nasal tissue out of there because you want to get as much of that out of there as possible because otherwise, you might end up with a smell. And you can also get into the brain cavity as well with that. Just some cheap wood carving tools. There's a lot of cartilage and stuff that you have to work off, and this helps get that off. So that's another little helpful tool. This is a sodium carbonate. I put about a cup of this in the boiling water, and it helps make the tissue just get, break down and get gelatinous, and it comes off, sloughs off easier. Anything that you might have laying around. The first head that I did, I think I had a screwdriver and tweezers. That worked for my first try. I didn't have, like is it any specialized tools? And I wouldn't call these really specialized tools either, but it's just some things that, after I had, worked on a skull, I'm like, what would be helpful? And I said to my husband, I need something really long and with, like a needle nose pliers. And the needle nose pliers were always too thick. You couldn't get into the little hole here. So we found these. I think these were originally for ice fishing. You got to get that hook out of the fish's mouth, right? Well, it works perfect for pulling the brain membrane out. You can get really deep in there with these. So the small, narrow shank that you can get in there. So again, it's what do you have at home? You probably have enough that could get you started and be able to do a nice head. You boil it, take off all the tissue that you can, clean out all the connective tissue, so you have a skull like this. And I put it in my pan, and if you want to make it even brighter white, you can just spray some peroxide on there, come back, let it dry, spray some more, just leave it for a couple days and just keep doing that. And it helps whiten it up a little bit, but it doesn't make it super white. It looks, just more of a natural bone white. So, and that's pretty much the end of the process. You've cleaned all the tissue off of the head, you let it dry, and that's your final product.